Ayrton Senna, in a Honda promotional interview filmed in 1990, said, "If you no longer go for a gap that exists, you are no longer a racing driver." 4 years later, on the 1st of May 1994, at the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola, he went for a gap that existed. The Williams FW16 lost steering through the Tamburello curve on lap 7. His car hit the wall at over 130 miles per hour. He was pronounced dead at the Maggiore Hospital in Bologna early that evening. Here is the actual cost of every gap in Formula One. 8 steps, end to end. From a kid at a regional karting circuit at age 8, to a man on a podium in Abu Dhabi at age 30, or a man with his car in a wall. You think Formula One is about talent. 99% of it is money and access, and a father or a grandfather who happened to be at the right circuit at the right age. We walk through the ladder. Step 1. Karting. The career begins on a Saturday at a regional karting circuit in Italy or southern Germany or northern France or central Florida. The kid is 8, sometimes 7. The kart costs between $15,000 and $40,000 new, depending on the chassis manufacturer. The annual budget for a competitive karting season at the entry junior level runs between $50,000 and $150,000 for chassis, engines, tyres, transport, race entries and travel. At the international junior level, which is where the families who are serious already operate, the annual budget runs between $150,000 and $200,000 per year for a kid between the ages of 8 and 15. Watch a Saturday at a regional karting circuit in any reasonably affluent country. The parents arrive at 6 in the morning with the rigs already loaded. By 10, the first heats have run. By 2, the families who came hoping to be discovered are getting back in the truck. The economy of this sport is already visible at this level. The kid who will progress is the kid whose family can afford to be back at the next circuit 2 weeks from now and the circuit after that for 8 consecutive years. Trace the money backward on any active Formula One driver. Lewis Hamilton entered the McLaren driver development program at age 13, meaning the manufacturer financial backstop arrived after his father, Anthony Hamilton, had already spent years working multiple jobs to fund the karting budget personally. Max Verstappen's father, Jos Verstappen, was a former Formula One driver who built the karting infrastructure around his son from age 4. Charles Leclerc was identified by the Ferrari Driver Academy in his teens, after his family had carried the karting years. The pattern repeats across the grid. The pre-academy years, the years before a manufacturer or driver development program picked up the bill, are paid for by the family. The talent is not in question. The talent is the entry condition. The selection happens further down. Step 2. Formula 4. The kid is now 15. Karting has consumed 7 to 8 years and somewhere between $300,000 and $1.5 million family dollars. Formula 4 is the kid's first single-seater experience. Open wheel, open cockpit, low-end racing aerodynamics. Formula 4 entries in the FIA-sanctioned regional series, Italian Formula 4, German Formula 4, British Formula 4, Formula 4 United States, run between $200,000 and $400,000 per season at the back end of a midfield team, and rise sharply at front-running teams. The kid races 19 or 20 events across roughly 6 months. There are typically 30 to 35 entries per season at the regional level. The kid finishes top 5 in 7 or 8 of them and finishes the season ranked roughly 10th in the championship. Which is good. Which is not, by the standards of the next step, sufficient. The career decision moment that the Formula 4 driver does not yet know they are inside of arrives near the end of this season. Either a Formula 3 team approaches them with a contract, or it does not. If it does not, the family has spent close to $1 million, and the kid is 16, and the ladder has, quietly, ended. Most Formula 4 drivers do not move into Formula 3. Most Formula 4 drivers stop racing competitively within 2 years. Step 3. Formula 3. The kid is 17.
The FIA Formula 3 Championship runs as a support series to Formula 1 Grand Prix weekends, which means the kid is now in the paddock, visible to team principals, visible to Formula 2 team owners, visible to Formula 1 driver development program representatives. Annual budget for an Formula 3 season runs between $600,000 and $1 million, depending on the team. Top-tier Formula 3 teams charge upward of $1.5 million per season for a competitive entry. The career window narrows sharply at this step. Formula 3 has approximately 30 drivers across the grid. The Formula 2 Championship, one rung above, has 22 drivers. Roughly half of an Formula 3 grid will not make it to Formula 2 the following year. Roughly half of those who do will not be on the Formula 2 grid the year after. Read the contracts.
The Formula 3 contracts at this level often include performance trigger clauses. The family must continue paying unless the driver finishes within a defined ranking band. Manufacturer pickup typically arrives only at top 5 championship positions. The team retains marketing and image rights for periods extending past the contract term. The driver at 17 signs a multi-page agreement that they cannot meaningfully evaluate. The family lawyer, in many cases, has not been retained because the family lawyer is not in this industry. A note on what the camera does not enter. The other channels in this space tend to give you Formula 1 as a glamour and rivalry narrative, often shaped by Netflix Drive to Survive. The cost of each step on this ladder is rarely the subject. The contract clauses, the family liquidity events, the karting to Formula 4 attrition rates, none of this is in the Netflix series, by design. If the cost side of the work is what you want more of, the subscribe button does that. The next ladder is already in research. Back to the steps. Step 4. Formula 2. The kid is now 19 or 20. Formula 2 operates as a direct feeder to Formula 1. Same race weekends, same circuits, near Formula 1 downforce levels, near Formula 1 physical demands. Annual budget for an Formula 2 season runs between $2 and $3 million per driver. The kid's family is, at this point, almost certainly no longer the primary funder. Either a manufacturer driver development program is paying, or a wealthy backer is paying. Or, increasingly common in the last decade, the family has restructured to include personal sponsorships through family-owned businesses or family-arranged sponsors. Formula 2 is the proving ground. The Formula 1 teams use Formula 2 results as the primary input for next year cockpit decisions. The kid races 24 races across the season, typically as part of an 11-team grid. The career outcome differential is brutal at this step. The driver who finishes top 3 in Formula 2 is competitive for an Formula 1 seat the following year. The driver who finishes mid-grid is competitive for nothing. Cross-reference the dates on the deaths in this category. Antoine Hubert died at the Formula 2 Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps on the 31st of August 2019, age 22. The accident occurred at the exit of the Eau Rouge complex during the second lap of the feature race. The FIA report, published the following year, attributed the cause to a multi-car collision following loss of control in a corner that has produced fatalities and serious injuries across motorsport for over 4 decades. Formula 2, like every step on this ladder, is not a safe step. Step 5. Reserve and development driver. The driver did well enough in Formula 2 to be considered, but not well enough, or more often, the seats in Formula 1 were not open in the right year. The driver is signed by a Formula 1 team as a reserve driver, a development driver, or a simulator driver. The salary at this position runs between $50,000 and $200,000 per year. The job description is to be in the paddock, attend most Grand Prix weekends, operate the team simulator between races, and be available to substitute in if one of the race drivers is injured or unavailable. The driver is now, in a meaningful sense, inside Formula One. The driver is also, in a meaningful sense, not. The waiting period at this position lasts on average 3 to 5 years. Some drivers, Esteban Ocon, before his Force India seat opened in 2016, wait 3 years. Some drivers, Mick Schumacher, after his Haas exit, wait indefinitely. Some drivers who reach this position never race a Grand Prix. The compounding cost up to this step across karting, Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2 and reserve runs between $4 and $8 million for the family, the manufacturer backstop and the personal sponsorship combined. The driver is now in their mid-20s. The driver has not yet earned a meaningful salary. Step 6. Backmarker Formula 1 seat. The driver gets the call. A team at the back of the grid, Haas, Sauber, Williams in some seasons, needs a driver. The driver signs. The contract is for 1 or 2 seasons. The salary, at this end of the grid, runs between $500,000 and $2 million annually, before deductions and personal team expenses. The pay-driver dynamic is now the operative factor. Many of the seats at the back of the grid are funded in part or in whole by sponsorship the driver brings to the team. Lance Stroll, signed to Williams in 2017 at age 18, came with an estimated sponsorship package in the range of $40 to $50 million from his family's businesses. Walk the paddock at any Grand Prix weekend and you will see this dynamic operating openly. The drivers at the back of the grid are not by any meaningful standard the worst drivers in the world. They are the drivers whose seats came with funding the team wanted more than it wanted a marginally faster driver. The backmarker driver finishes most races between 12th and 17th position, scoring points perhaps 3 or 4 times in a 23-race season. The driver's lap times are within 0.7 of a second of the front of the grid, meaning in absolute terms the driver is among the 20 best racing drivers in the world. In Formula One terms, the driver is, statistically, on the way out within 2 seasons, unless the team improves around them. Step 7. Midfield team. The driver moves to a midfield team. Alpine, Aston Martin, Williams in a competitive year, Haas at the peak of their development cycle. Salary at this tier runs between $2 and $10 million annually. The driver is now financially independent of family money and pay-driver dynamics for the first time. The driver is in their late 20s. The career window remaining at the front of the grid, if it ever opens, is roughly 5 to 8 years. The midfield is the position from which most podium finishes do not occur, and most race wins are mathematically impossible. The driver scores between 40 and 100 championship points per season. The driver does not win a Grand Prix this year. The driver does not lead a Grand Prix for more than 3 or 4 laps over the entire season, and only then because of strategic pit cycles.
In my read of it, and I have spent time in one cost-prohibitive sport at the amateur level, the part of Formula One that Netflix Drive to Survive systematically misrepresents is precisely this layer. The drama the series fabricates around the midfield rivalries is, in significant part, editing. The midfield driver, week to week, is largely a professional executing a routine they have practiced for 15 years. The compelling part of the story, the financial mechanism, the development of the chassis, the politics of the team principal hierarchy, happens in offices the cameras do not enter. Step 8. Top Team, World Champion. The driver moves to one of the 3 teams capable of winning a championship in the current regulatory cycle: Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren in their strongest seasons. Salary at this position runs between $15 and $50 million annually.
Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes contract, publicly reported across the 2018 to 2023 period, ranged in the upper end of that band.
Max Verstappen's Red Bull contract, publicly reported following the 2022 championship season, is in the same band or higher. The driver, statistically, is one of 3 to 5 drivers in the world who can reasonably hope to win the championship in any given year. The driver is now in their early 30s. The career window at this position lasts, in current Formula One conditions, approximately 7 to 10 years before age, reflex degradation, or a younger driver displaces them. The driver wins the World Championship in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 7 years. The driver becomes the figure on the cover. The driver becomes the answer to the trivia question. The driver's name, in 50 years, is what people in the next generation will list when they say what the careers of this generation looked like. Of the 8 steps on this ladder, only 1 driver per year across roughly 20 Formula One seats occupies the championship position. Across the global karting population at any given moment, roughly 100,000 kids race competitively. 20 Formula One seats. 1 world champion per year. The mathematics of the funnel are visible at every step. The driver at the top, at the moment of the championship, is the visible end of a system that selected 9,999 kids out for every 1 who arrived. Saturday morning, a regional karting circuit somewhere in Italy. An 8-year-old kid is in the kart. The kid's father is at the side of the track with a stopwatch and a notebook. The kid's mother is at the entrance gate with the trailer keys. The kart cost the family $36,000 to assemble, run, and transport for 1 season. The kid won the heat this morning by 0.2 of a second. The kid will win another 7 heats this year. The question worth asking, watching this scene, is not whether this kid has the talent. The talent at this circuit is dense. The talent is the flaw. The question is which of these kids has the family that can come back next year, and the year after, and the 6 years after that. And then the question is what gap, in 22 years, in a different kind of car, this kid will go for, if the kid is still here.